All right, everyone, this is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Dry Docks, and you got Logan in the background there, RCSubKid, and we are on to Chapter 2 of this build blog for this 80.5-inch DeBoer Seaview in 1/60th scale. This video is where all the work starts. So just to get things started, started pulling some things apart. We've got the control room in here, which is pretty heavy duty, and boy, Carrie did a really good job at putting this together. There's silicone everywhere. We need to strip some of this stuff out. Looks like it might come off okay. Then we'll paint it and use as the base, and he's got one set of glass or windows in there right now. We might peel this off and put a new one on. Looks like it was held on with silicone. But I am going to take this into my office and scale out all the parts for the interior based off of the really excellent 3D files that Ken Lane put out that I offer on my website at nautilusdrydocks.com. Took the sail off. This is these are orientation pins, and it's held on magnetically. You can see magnets that have been embedded in the top there and sealed in with epoxy. And just for fun, I wanted to see if we had lights. And so I've got this hooked up to 12-volt battery, and sure enough, look at that. We have a flashing white LED on the trailing edge of the sail there. We've got our starboard navigation light and our port side navigation light. Looking pretty darn cool. I really hope you can get an idea for the scale of this thing. Like, that's my hand. Look at the size of these dive planes. They are enormous. So we're gonna pull this thing apart. You can see the shafts are in there. They were never really designed to be functional, but we'll pull them out, get them working nice and smoothly, and then we're going to put a waterproof servo up there, just like I did on the Nakin. Looks like we've got a guide tube for a periscope up here as well. So we'll get to work detailing out the sail, maybe start top down. I don't know. There's so much to do. We'll just kind of pick our battles as we go. But for now, we're going to move this deck out of the way, so we've got some room to work. And I am trying to take these stern planes out. This side, the set screw came out real nice. This side, it's completely and utterly stripped, so I might need to drill that out, which is super exciting, and then try and extract this control shaft, which will pop out the dive planes, so I can cut them, sand them, make them look beautiful, and reinstall them. We're going to start there because the stern is actually looking really, really good. We can work from the back forward and hopefully get everything in place with a minimum amount of fuss. Let's take a look at what we got underneath here. I'll start at the front. Logan is going to be working on making these one piece, removable with magnets. So pop that thing off, send it out on the lake, drive out your flying sub, have a blast, whatever, bring it back, snap the door on, makes it look really cool for display. So that's pretty neat. I got some wires hanging out in there that we're going to need to, looks like they were snipped. We'll have to strip those back and check out our LED lights and see if those work. This looks like it was at one time like an intake or something. It like goes inside the hull into like a chunk of this like PVC pipe or something like that. I could cut all this out and I could rebuild the keel, but you know what? It's already there. It looks kind of cool. It's below the hump, so it's not going to catch on anything. I think we could actually turn that into a water intake and or drain for the ballast system. We'll just clean it up, make it look super cool, and see what happens. I think for now that's the plan. Got a bunch of holes, like a bunch of holes. That's all got to get filled. This all has to get filled and smoothed. This all needs to get sanded and filled and made flush again. Here's this area here. I've been stripping some old silicone off of here. Also got an air bubble. Look at that. There's an air bubble in this. So that's got to get filled. Have to take that out. I am still confused. So this is the ballast tank here. And this, I think, was a big, like, bilge pump or something. I don't know, something like that. These doors are, like, the perfect size for this. And he built, like, a frame around it. So I'm wondering, I don't know if this came with the kit and the idea was you could make these, like, functional. Can you think anything? It wouldn't take much to make them do something, but can you think of anything that we can do with it?
I mean, as the space is already occupied, there's not much we can do. I know it's originally used to deploy the two-man sub.
Mini sub, yeah.
We'd have to make one, which wouldn't be too much. I mean, it's just a long tube. But
We have to cut. Oh, yeah, we got the bulkhead for the ballast tank. You know, well, you know, what'll probably end up happening is this going to get glued in place and filled and sanded. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless we can think of a reason to have a half in, half out hatch accessible there. I don't know. Drop us the comments in the comment section. What should we do with the doors? Cool idea. Bearing in mind that the customer's already paying a pretty decent amount of money for this boat. And every time we add a new feature is more dollars. So we have to draw the line somewhere. Yeah, and then we've also got, it looks like this poor boat's been chewed on by squirrels. Right there. And then we've got, I think this is spray foam. This is all going to need to be carved out and sanded smooth and filled in here. Now this is interesting to you guys, or it should be interesting to you guys. It better be interesting to you guys. So this is the propulsion tube, and this is what he did to gain access for the flow going inside. I don't agree with the methodology, and there's a couple of reasons that I will share with you, whether you want me to or not. This is the propeller, but you can see this was cut all the way back behind the prop. So in theory, thrust can escape out this way. It's not perfectly sealed around the perimeter of the propeller to provide maximum thrust. So what I'm thinking the easiest solution for this is going to be is to extend this prop shaft back about an inch so that that propeller is fully engaged with the entire perimeter of the nacelle. And we're going to have lots of room once we get rid of these ridiculously huge dive planes here. We could go, in theory, all the way up to here. But that will allow maximum thrust and efficiency. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and cut it all the way forward, I think. Maybe like this. Or maybe like this. So that cosmetically you can't see it from the side. You probably couldn't see what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention. Cut this all the way up here like this. So that all that water is flowing in. And then when you reverse thrust, it's in a linear direction in line with the boat going that way. That's what I think we're going to do. And we'll put better screws in here too. These are kind of funky looking. Maybe they're oiling maintenance access hatches. We'll have to fix that. But on the good side, you can see a bunch of brass here. I managed to grind out this stripped wheel collar from that dive plane there. So now, and I haven't even done that. I don't even know if this, oh, look at this. This comes right out. This is square tubing. So that was our shaft. So now, hopefully we can goof around with this and extract. I can't do it one-handed. Both dive planes, cut them back and reinstall them without having to take the rudders out. But if we do, Kerry did a great job because he just loosened up this set screw and then pull the shaft, and out comes your prop. Pretty cool. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Gonna have to do a little repair here. This is cracked, but it's still pretty solid. So we'll just do some cosmetic filling there. All right. Well, back at it. So working on these dive planes here right now. These shafts are super short. I want them long, and ideally going all the way across the sail, so that I can just put one control horn in the middle and be done with it. These are, unfortunately, very well adhered to the body. So I'm going to try a little heat, which, if it's held in place with CA, should liquefy the CA and make it a lot easier to pull out. And if not, it'll soften up the resin and should allow me to do out. Now, I'm not familiar with how Dennis does this. If he's got like paddles inside or bent pieces. Oh, nope, we're in luck. Did it. So there you go. Little secret. If you guys want to pull out the shaft from your control surfaces. So, oddly, there was a lip all the way around here that was built up with Bondo. I am not sure why. It kind of like fared from smooth up to about 1/16 of an inch up here. But these are obviously designed to be right here. They fit perfectly. So again, let me know what you think we should do with these, if anything. I'm tempted just to glue them. So you need to be really, really convincing if you want me to do anything with them. But in the back, we've made progress. I've marked out the intakes for the props, and you can see these are on the inside. So when you're like looking at it from the side, you're not even going to be able to see them. It's going to be awesome. And it'll clean this mess up. Looks like a chipmunk got in there and chewed on this a little bit. But good progress on our dive planes. So I'm going to grab the linkages here. These were pulled out, cut off, reinstalled. Now you can see we've got full channel all the way through. We're going to have lots of flow. I think this is going to work really good. What I like about this, it was actually square rod that goes through that. So both of the planes are perfectly aligned with each other there. Now I need to reinforce this. You can see it's a little like questionable. We'll have to fill this, seal it all up and everything. But all good. Next step, remove props. And then maybe we'll play with seeing what those other ones look like. But I think these are going to work way better. 5 blades, nice and thin, sharp, professionally engineered. I think this is the way to go. And they're epoxied into place in terms of this mounting bracket. So I don't know that I'm going to goof around with this, but I will pull these out and I'll see if I can get like a flat head that we can fare over so we don't have these gigantic, round head bolts sticking out. The LED lights work. They're not as bright as I thought they were going to be. They're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they look cool when they're off, but I don't know. They're still really bright, but so those work. That's good. One less thing to have to worry about or replace. We've decided we are going to 3D print a brand new cover for the flying sub bay door because this one is warped all to heck. It's like twisted in like 3 different axes and it's just a debacle. So we'll print one up that looks real nice, and the beauty is with that 3D printed plastic we can heat it and form it if we need to.
And sand it.
Yeah. Again, that was all sanded from before. All the back is done. That is the new drivetrain. that we're looking at. Let me see if I can find the end of it here. Brass props running through the bushing in there, through universal joint. Nice and smooth. So he had a dog bone on here before. That means you got to kind of fish for jamming an intermediate shaft in there. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. So this is the new intake on the bottom. Lots of water can get in, lots of water can get out. I don't know what I'm going to do with this big opening in here. I think I might need to block it off. You know, just have a little hole for the shaft to come out. And just block that whole thing off with some plastic sheet. But, well, we'll see. So, there you go. Contra-rotating. So I think we're going to flip this thing over again and start taking a look at where we're going to put stuff inside. Happy Friday morning, everyone. Weather a lot better than it was yesterday. It's nice and warm outside, a little cloudy, but no rain. So that's good. Lots of progress on Seaview yesterday. I'm super excited about how quickly that's all coming together. Sails all done. I installed waterproof servos in here, tested, perfectly working. I installed all the detail parts up in the top of the sail. I fabricated the antennas and masts, did a little bit of detail work on the top here. We got this like little hatchy thing that the previous owner, Carrie, had kind of put together and obviously meant to go there. Also installed one of these stock resin grates, and I think they look good. Now, I intentionally put these proud of the nacelle. I know some of you guys are saying, oh, they should be flush. You know, I wanted this additional level of visual interest with this raised portion, and actually they've got a pretty decent amount of inflow, I think. This has all been repaired. So yeah, we're looking really good. The other thing I'm super excited about, started printing the bridge. This was, again, came from the 3D files that I have on my site from Ken Lane. The files include the entire Seaview, but this is just the bridge module, and it's the perfect scale. I did not need to scale it at all. And I printed this in one piece on my printer. I am really excited about how good this turned out. I think Logan is excited to paint it too, right?
Yep.
So we've got the aft part of the bridge on the printer right now. So that'll be another 10 hours to print out. Hopefully it turned out as good as this did. But it seems to look like it's going to fit in here perfectly. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And we got on the printer too the doors, the flying sub bay doors. I ordered some brushless motors to power our little scale flying sub. And yeah, it is coming along really, really well. All right, progress on Seaview. I have been working on filling the sailplane there, Fairwater plane. And I've mounted the brushless motors. I've got a pair of 750 kilovolt brushless motors that will be driving the propellers. I got a big beefy bracket in here. These are bolted into place. These are the linkages for the rudder and the dive planes. We're going to be putting some waterproof servos right here, and that's going to be controlling the rear control surfaces. And then after that, we're going to be moving on to the ballast system because we've already got, of course, the servo mounted for the Fairwaters. So all of the control has been looked after. We got a waterproof box here, and that is going to house the electronics such as the receiver and levelers and all of that fun stuff. But of course we need a main drive battery as well. So We'll have to figure out where we're going to end up putting that, or how we're going to handle it. But one thing at a time. Here, let's start at the front. What I'm going to be working on here momentarily is reinforcing all of these joints with body filler, so that this is going to be perfectly secured inside the hull and rock solid. You can see I've marked out some extensions to the flying sub bay because right now the wings of the flying sub just clip the edges, and as you know, we're going to be making an attempt to get that flying sub operational, so it needs to come in and out super easy. Other things that I've done is trying to clean up all of these randomly drilled holes in the bottom of the hull. So we're going to make these functional drains in the bottom, make them look good. The ballast tank, that huge ballast tank, needs inputs, places to drain the hull out. I don't know for sure if I'm going to put them here, but I'm just kind of playing around with it, marking out places that I need to do some filling. I did permanently install these doors on the bottom. I'm going to fair all of this in and then scribe the doors. These are not going to be functional. There's no plans for them, so there's no point in having a big hole in there. And again, just cleaning up these back areas here. These will all be functional drains for the inside of the boat. But yeah, that's it. We're going to keep going here. And then if we go over to the other side, Logan is continuing work on the bridge. We got the floor all based out. That looks really good. Got color on the back wall there.
Yep, making good progress on the colors. At first I was just kind of giving them... Well, at first I tried a pattern, which is why it's got the stripe of red. Now I'm starting to do a bit of a random pattern, so it kind of mimics that old...
Yeah,
the old style, like...
1960s blinky blinkies.
Yep. Don't really accomplish any function. They all blink different colors, so... Got most of my warm colors in there. I'm about to go in with my blues and my others. I don't know what else I have here.
Yeah, and then you got the back area going on too.
Yep. So this one's not quite as done. I figured I'd get the bridge done first because it's be mounted permanently, but I've got floors, I've got the orange on the chair, so I still need to give them some metal. I've got a little bit of metal across the sides, and I still need to add all of the colors to these buttons as well, but that shouldn't be nearly as bad because they're just going to be mostly the same color.
Yeah, that looks really slick all put together like that. Nice, and then we'll get to put the ceiling on and mount some LED lights. So, continuing the work, this is just the meat and potatoes cleaning and everything. What I am going to need to do is flip this over and extract the giant ballast weight in the bottom of the ballast tank, because if I do put these holes in, I'm going to hit those weights. But I'll take a closer look and see what we got to go. I really want to remove this big intake thing here. It's not functional in the ballast tank design that I've got envisioned. It's not movie or TV show accurate, so I'm gonna pull it out, clean this all up, make it look nice and clean and slick, and get this thing looking like a submarine. All right, we are coming up on the end of this second chapter of the Seaview build. We want to break this up into some bite-sized chunks. Let's review where we're at right now. Got all that filler on the bottom of the boat, and we drilled all the holes in the ballast system, so we've got really good drainage in there. I do want to point out that in this previous iteration, the bottom of this bulkhead was about an inch up off the bottom of the boat, which was interesting. It effectively cut a huge swath of ballast tank capacity out of the boat. So by sealing this off, we're going to regain all of this volume in the lower hull, effectively making the ballast tank a little bit bigger. Not that we want that. We're going to go into that in a second. Here is the setup for the motors and servos. They're all done, and servos are tested, hooked up, ready to go to control the dive planes and rudders. In the back of the boat there, all the drivetrains for the motors are connected. They're really smooth and free wheeling. Now we're going to be connecting those things to power. But what we wanted to do here was talk about sizing the ballast tank. Now, the previous owner apparently did all of the homework for me in this because he absolutely, like I said before, wanted this thing to float at the quote-unquote correct waterline, fictitious as that may be. And that would put the waterline here, which means Seaview was more of a ship than a submarine. More of it was out of the water than was under the water. And they could get away with that because it wasn't a real submarine. Most submarines, especially, U.S. submarines that aren't in thick ice operations, have, like a 10, 15%, maybe 20% reserve buoyancy. This is going to need to be like 60%. It's insane. We're going to try this like this. If this ballast tank is too big and cumbersome, I will absolutely gut it. And we'll make this a realistic submarine that floats at a more authentic, correct waterline. But we need to do some math to figure out what we're working with right now. So fortunately, the cross-section of the boat is circular. So we've got a perfect half cylinder here right now. Which means calculating it is pretty easy. And if we take a look at the math, that works out to, and I'm talking metric here because it's easier to work with for absolutely everybody, 13,960 milliliters, basically 14 liters. Makes a nice, easy, round numbers. Now, one of the challenges with a ballast tank is you need to get rid of all that air out of the ballast tank. It needs to be vented. You need to have a way to get it from all sides. This is a large flat top. If we only had one vent here, for example, if we were diving, there would be a massive trapped air bubble at the other side. So we need to have at least two vents. If we did that mechanically, we would have all sorts of linkages going through here and adjustments and all sorts of crazy things. So I prefer to go electronic. And this is a little electronic solenoid valve. If you're looking to get one, this is a WVS 23-12. Yep, WVS 23-12. 12 volt from microenergy.com.cn. Got to love the Chinese. This is a cool little valve. Steve Hodges put me onto these. Perfect for most normal submarines, but this is not a normal submarine. This was my test rig. A 530 milliliter bottle, which I rounded to 500 milliliters for the sake of math. And the way I tested this is I submerged this bottle vertically. This is all sealed right now, and the valve is the solenoid. I opened the valve. Water pressure forced itself in, forced the air out of this hose, and we timed it. And Logan helped me out. Do you remember what the time was?
Oh, the first test was 11.5. The second one was 10.5 seconds.
Yeah, so I think we averaged it out to 11 seconds to vent 500-ish milliliters of air from this mini ballast tank. If we take a look at the math now, that's 500 milliliters in 11 seconds, and we need 13,960, 14,000 milliliters. So if we were doing that with one valve, it would be roughly 290 seconds, which is pretty significant. If we put two, one on each end, that's 145 seconds, so over 2 minutes to vent. It's a big tank, kind of realistic to do that. Obviously, big, real submarines take a long time to vent their tanks. If we do 3, it gets down to 97 seconds, and if we do 4, we're talking about something like 72 seconds. I'm kind of thinking we might want to do 4 valves. We'll run them maybe in the 4 corners of the ballast tank, and that way there's no way for an air bubble to get caught inside. If we take a look at that, we would have, like 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 in there. Little over a minute for a boat this size. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that would be just about perfect. So that's one half of the equation. We're going to give it a try. Waterproofing this electronic solenoid valve and then installing them in the lid that we're going to be putting on here. And then the only other thing we need to do is figure out what we're going to do to pump air back into the ballast tank. And I have an air pump that will do, I believe, 10 or 11 liter in a minute. So that is, I think, what we're going to do. It'll draw air from the top of the snorkel or the periscope, pump it into the ballast tank. That'll be the main low pressure blower. And then we'll probably rig up some sort of emergency blow scenario, like a compressed gas system or CO2 or something to that effect. So that's the plan right now. This is where we're at. This is where we are going to leave it. I really hope you enjoy this video series. I'm certainly having a blast putting it together, and I'm sure Logan is too, right, Logan?
Yep.
Stand by for the next chapter coming up here in the very near future. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, like and subscribe. That way you'll be notified when we pump out new videos. Again, this is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with Logan.
Way in the back.
Way in the back. Thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time.